so today me and Pop Gringo went rummaging through other people's property and we found something that we are going to tear apart and restore, fix up, do something with. What do you think, Dad?
Well, you get it fixed up or end up with scrap, whatever. We'll see what happens.
So we're going to turn the camera around at this time and we'll show you what we got. Here's what we got. We have a Speedway metal runner sled. As you can see, it's pretty rusted up. The boards are pretty well warped and they are not straight by any means. So, what are we going to do to it, Pop?
We're going to tear it apart and rebuild it.
All right, guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Anything can happen at any time here in the Redneck Manufacturing Workshop. So this is what a sleigh looks like when you tear it apart. The steering handle, and I made a setting change on this camera. I haven't filmed since I've made that setting change, so I'm just hoping that I can get all this in the frame. So that's the steering handle. This is the front cross member. The back cross member still in there. And I didn't want to take the wood apart until I'm ready for it. So we left that all together. That way I know what goes where and how it was. So that's the wood part of it. Here is the metal part of it. There is one of the runners. Here's the other runner, and then these are all steering bars here. And if you look on the floor, all over the place, we have the rivets that we drilled out. I'm hoping that I don't have a problem finding rivets to go back in here. If I need to, we'll come up with something. I'll find a 16 penny nail or something and just kind of mushroom the other end out. So the Speedway sleigh is almost tore apart. Next thing is we'll sandblast all this stuff up, get it primed, and get it painted. Then we'll work on the wood. All right, so at the end of day one, we got the runners primed. They're hanging on my ladder, which is also primed. And then we come over here and we have all the other parts, the metal parts anyway, just primered, and then there's the wood for the sleigh. So we're working on her. End of day one, headed in to bed, and we'll see if we can't finish this up soon. All right, guys, so here are the metal parts for the sleigh. I know they don't stick out real well because it's black on black, but you know, they're not perfect. I just wanted to get them laid under some good primer and some good paint, so maybe they'll last another 15-20 years. And then here are the runners for the sled. And now I'll take you over and show you what we got done on the wood so far. All right, so here are all the wood parts for the sleigh. This being the center board. Let me lay this out real quick here so you can kind of get an idea of what we got. So those are the three boards that make up the top of the sleigh. And then these are the boards that connect them all together. And I know that I have my camera on narrow, but yeah, that's what it's going to look like when it's done. I have a air orbital sander that I'm working on getting everything sanded up. And you can see the difference. I'll zoom in. That's what it did look like. That's what it's going to look like. So just taking some of the old shellac off and the old grime and everything. I believe, yeah, I got all of this side done. So we have a little bit more to do on that structure there. And then it's time to start staining and lettering. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut some vinyl and make like a stencil out of vinyl, and then paint on the inside of that stencil, and then peel the vinyl off, and then I'll lay it in some shellac or polyurethane. So slowly but surely we're taking that old sleigh and we are going to turn it into something a little better anyway. Alright, so this is pretty much what it looks like sanded down. The next step is going to be to stain it. And then, as I said before, we'll go ahead and make a stencil on my computer. And then we're going to shoot it with some paint and then lay it under some varnish or shellac or polyurethane. Alright, so here's what it looks like. I got the wood stained. The paint is done. I don't have all the metal structure on the front here. But yeah, looks pretty good, I think. The next step is going to be to make a stencil for the 3 boards here, and then go ahead and paint those. Once those are painted, then I can go ahead and varnish it, shellac it, or polyurethane it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but that's what it looks like now. Alright guys, just wanted to show this to you. I laid this out on the computer and I cut it on my vinyl cutter. And now I'll take you out in the shed and show you what I got. So the first thing I'll show you guys is the vinyl itself. I know I have a glare. So I cut the vinyl and I weeded it, or pulled the excess vinyl out that I wanted the spray paint to be in. I made this wide enough to cover the entire board, and then I made it a little longer with some other tape to cover the rest of the wood. So my granddaughter's name is Makenzie, and the sleigh is going to be called Makenzie Express. So at this time I'll show you the center board off of the sleigh. And here it is. I'll tilt it up. That's the center board for the sleigh. And we weren't sure what color to make it. I was going to make it red, then we were going to make it white, and then we went with burgundy. I did get it off a little bit though. I had it laid out, and it was supposed to be about 1/8 of an inch that way. So what that did was it put my P down over that edge, which no big deal. I don't think anybody's going to pick my work apart that bad, and if they do, well, so be it. So this is the center board for the sleigh, and now it says Makenzie Express. The next step is going to be to go to Lowe's. I don't have any polyurethane here, and we're going to polyurethane this paint underneath. So basically what I did was I cut a stencil, I hit it with some spray paint real light. After that kind of dried a little bit, then we went ahead and hit it a little heavier, peeled that vinyl off and left this behind. And I'll be honest with you, I am impressed. Let me see if I can just get a close-up of these edges. The edges are so crisp. I wasn't expecting that. It got better than what I actually expected. So if you guys do have a vinyl cutter and you try stuff like this, here's a couple of pointers. The first thing I had to do was make sure that I had every ounce of stain either dried or wiped off. So even after it was dry, I took some rags and just kept wiping and wiping and wiping until the rag was pretty clean, because the stain does have a residue on the surface of the wood and it will wipe off. You just have to keep wiping and wiping. So once you do that, then you go ahead and you tape your vinyl like you were going to apply it to any substrate. Once you tape your vinyl, you kind of lay it out on here, and like I say, I missed my mark by about 1/8 of an inch, which put my P down over the edge there. Once you put your vinyl on there and get your application tape back off, and if you don't do vinyl, you probably don't understand what I'm explaining right now. If you do vinyl, then you do understand. But once you peel your application tape off, I simply walked it over to my wood stove and kind of held it right in front of the air coming out of here. I have air blowing out of this thing right here, and it's really nice and hot. It'd be the same thing as putting a hairdryer on it, but what you want to do is you want to warm that vinyl up and let that adhesive get a little tackier. And then once you do that, then I have a roller that I rolled it with. And then if you see any bubbles next to the openings, just kind of push them down with your fingers. That way there is no no place for the paint to get underneath. And I'll tell you, I probably can't show this close enough because I'm afraid of touching it. It is still a little wet, but I am so amazed at how crisp the edges are on all of these letters. So I'm impressed, and I hope you guys are too. Probably won't have a video up of this thing being back together for about 2 or 3 days, maybe a little longer than that. Like I said, I want to run to Lowe's and get some polyurethane and get a nice heavy gloss finish over top of all of this, so we can go sledding for many years to come without it cracking, wearing down, wearing the paint off. And I'm just going to show you what I did here. I did cheat because when I sanded it and it looked all clean, but it left a residue. The old letters left a residue that just came right out when I stained it. So we just flipped the board over. Top is the same as the bottom. Matter of fact, it's probably better because right now it's bowed up. So now maybe when we put the handle in it, it'll bow it back down. And besides that, I think we're good to go. Check back in about 3 or 4 days, maybe a little longer. If you're a subscriber, it'll pop up, you'll see it. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe. And then when this gets completed, you'll see it when it's done. Thanks for watching, and the Makenzie Express is underway.